everyone, Jerry here with a very special video here. For those that don't know, I went to Anime NYC this past weekend, at least at the time I am filming this. It is currently actually Thanksgiving Day. So I went to New York City this past weekend for a convention, mainly to visit my friend Pyro and my other friend Kola, and I was rooming with my other friend Five Skulls, all of them lovely people. And well, I should say I did. I certainly had an experience. I'm sure they did too, but this isn't about them. This is about me right now. And right now I want to talk about my experience in New York City, because this isn't just me talking about the convention itself, because I will be talking about that and we will get to that. But this is also me talking about my experience as a whole in New York City. I'm not really an outgoing person. I'm normally just, you know, I like to stay in my own little space at home. I like that little reserved area. I decided to step out of my shell for once and go out. Not only out of the state for the first time in my life. I'm 21 years, and this is the first time I left California, not including when I lived in Mexico. But just, you know, exploring the world for the first time. So it was very exciting to, you know, go on my own. But anyways, how was the actual experience itself? How did I fare up against the New Yorkers out there? Oh boy, how do we start with that? So I wasn't exactly as prepared as I thought I'd be to leave. It certainly was something new. I had everything I needed, but mentally I sort of wasn't like processing exactly what I was doing. I was leaving to a whole different state, but that was sort of the mentality that, you know, every area is going to be a little similar to one another, when in reality that is oh, that's not the case. My journey starts here at home. I start packing my things, you know, bring my clothes. I did bring extra pairs of clothing, including underwear, shirts, pants, and socks, an extra pair of pants. I brought my books, I brought my sketchbook, I brought my tripod, which I did not use at all. I brought my laptop, all those electronic chargers for my phone, my laptop, and my earphones, my fight stick, and a whole bag of cookies. You know, the issue was that my suitcase and my backpack couldn't exactly fit everything. We sort of had to force everything in. It was a little bit of a mess, but we managed to pull through. So I'm from Santa Ana, California, and I have to leave Santa Ana's airport, John Wayne Airport, at exactly 7:45. From there, I reach Seattle, and from Seattle, I fly to New York. And on the way back, I fly from New York to San Francisco, and from San Francisco to back to Santa Ana. Both of them were 2 ways, which isn't a big deal, but you know, we have to make do with what we got. So finally, it's time to go. I'm all packed up. I got my stuff. I'm ready to go. So let's go. So the ride to the airport wasn't too bad. It wasn't a lot of traffic. It was fairly I don't want to say bittersweet, but you know, it was very overall exciting. I was so excited to leave California. It was just gonna, I knew I was gonna be going in for something special. But finally, we arrived to the airport. The only thing I remembered about being in an airplane is when you're going up, it really tickles down here, and the ride up did tickle. So I make my way to the airport. I'm walking in, I'm checking myself in, get my 2 tickets, and finally it's time to check myself properly with the staff, get, you know, everything all cleared up. Then they asked me for my ID, and of course I left my ID in the car. So I have to go back, I have to go pick up my ID. Of course, my parents weren't too ecstatic about me leaving my ID and my wallet and basically everything I need for this trip in order to make it happen in the car. But they came back after about maybe 10 minutes, and we got everything cleared out. And I still made it to my plane ride with a lot of time to spare. I was there sitting maybe for about 40 minutes or so without anything to do. But finally I make my way to the airplane. So excited. And then that excitement is gonna be changing the moment I step inside the airplane. The plane ride wasn't too bad. The first 2 hours went by fairly quickly, but that last hour felt like it was dragging. I mainly just sort of sat there. I didn't really have much to do. I did play chess against the AI, and the AI absolutely mauled me. They absolutely whooped me, dude. Like, I got so embarrassed about losing to this AI. And it wasn't even at the hardest difficulty either. This AI it was just so brutal. It just caught every mistake I did. So finally we arrived to Seattle, and the landing wasn't exactly great. It was a really rough landing. Everyone was a little shaken up about it. I was a little shaken up about it. I spent one summer watching videos about plane crashes, and I don't know why. I was just kind of fascinated as to why they crashed. And this is the first state I've ever been to. So Washington has the honor of being the first state outside of California that I've been to. The issue was that my ticket didn't have my gate. So now I had to walk around the entire airport looking for my gate. And the only way to find my gate is to find a monitor. And once I found a monitor that worked, because the monitor at the gate I was at was off, I had to walk all around the airport until I finally found a monitor that worked. And the monitor told me that my gate was a gate separate to the area that I was at, so I had to make my way over to that gate. Finally I made it to that gate that I was supposed to go, and I find out that my plane has been moved. So now I have to make my way from that gate to the other gate, and at this point I'm running out of time. I barely made it in time. They were starting to board people, but they did have a Subway in the airport. I was hungry. The only thing I had to eat was the breakfast I had at home, which at this point was well over 5 hours ago. Because I was very low on time, I bought myself this little collection of crackers and cheese and a little bit of apple and grapes. And it was okay. It was $10 though for that little bit of food, but it satisfied me throughout the entire plane ride until it was time for snacks. And the snacks at the plane ride were okay, you know, just kind of standard, a little bland, dry, the usual. I would have absolutely loved to have gotten footage of this plane ride because I flew over the Rocky Mountains, I flew over Hills Creek, I flew over the Great Lakes. It was I could imagine it would have been a wonderful view. If it wasn't for the fact that my window was jammed, it wouldn't open. It was closed throughout the entire ride. It was just unfortunate, really. I would have absolutely loved to have gotten all sorts of footage, and it would have made for a nice compilation. But we gotta make do with what we got, which is something I found myself saying a lot throughout this trip. This plane ride was really long. It was only about 4.5 hours, but it definitely felt longer, and that's because I sat at a really uncomfortable seat. There was another passenger next to me, and my seat was actually smaller than my chair right here, about this much, so I was this tight. Tried reading my books, which I didn't even get past 10 pages. Finally, I just pulled out my laptop. I tried to hook it up to the Wi-Fi. Guess what? Turns out you gotta pay money for that here, but I gotta make do with what I got. So I started playing Mega Man 4 on my laptop, and I beat it way before I made it to New York as well. You know, it was fun. It did kill a lot of time for me, so it killed about an hour. During that last hour, I decided to play on the games that the plane has with the terrible syncing and calibration. So I started playing the airplane games again on the monitor, and one of the games that they had just had a random Cranky Kong in it. It was like a searching game, and not only did it have Cranky Kong, but it also had Alvin and the Chipmunks in there. It was it was interesting to see a Cranky Kong just hidden there. Finally, after another admittedly rough landing. We make it to JFK. I'm stoked to see what awaits me in New York. Now I have to make my way over to the luggage check area. I have to pick up my luggage. And that was a long walk. It was a very long walk. And they had one of these things here, which at the time I thought, wow, that's dumb. But the moment I stepped into one, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I get to move faster. But the issue was that people would just sort of just stand there. Like they wouldn't move. And so they ended up making that thing feel slower than it actually was, when in reality that's for, you know, making you move faster when you need to catch a ride. And I needed to get to my hotel as soon as possible. And as I was walking through, I tried to get footage of this, but I accidentally was just taking pictures. So what you have here is just some blurry pictures of this hallway that the airport had that was just like a mall. It was really, really surreal. It didn't make sense to me as to why there was a random mall in the airport, but they were selling all sorts of things like jewelries and clothing, and it was a little indicator as to I'm not in California anymore. This is just how this place operates. I went to the luggage pickup, and unfortunately I spent about an hour and a half there waiting for my luggage, and after all that time I finally get my luggage. It's finally time to leave, and I call a Lyft, and the moment the Lyft gets there, it immediately cancels on me. And so I just decided to take a cab. And the cab actually ended up being cheaper. But that's when I started realizing things were just, you know, everything people say about New York drivers is true. They are very, very aggressive. Like, they would not stay in their lanes. They would just sort of drive around everywhere. They would go through one ways in the opposite direction, constant beeping. It just felt like they were, you know, trying to kill each other. It was like a monster truck derby in a way. As we were approaching the area, the weather just progressively sort of got a bit worse, because when I got there, it was at a nice 56 degrees. It wasn't too cold, because it does get like 56 degrees here, so that's weather that I can at least tolerate. And the airport was also really stuffy, so stepping out to a nice cool 56 degrees was admittedly very, very nice. Yeah, I'm not a fan of rain personally, and no, I had to put up with the rain. One thing I noticed is that New York is really, really dirty. Like, there's trash bags everywhere. There's trash bags outside my hotel. There was trash bags outside basically any big store or restaurant. There was just trash bags everywhere. It's no wonder this place is infested with rats. But outside of that, it was really cool seeing all the streets and stuff. I didn't get any footage of me walking into my hotel. I didn't get any footage of me meeting Five Skulls. And the large reason for that was because I was really hungry. So it was time to go eat. And there was a pizza place like right around the corner of our place. So we went there, we got a slice, and instantly I was hit with this like unfamiliarity, because everyone was just sort of a little mean to each other. Like, for example, the guy that was giving me the pizza was like sort of like, hey, you gotta get going, come on, I can't hear you, take out your mask, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I was like, I'm like this shy California kid, so I was just sort of trying to adapt to the situation I was in. Even Five Skulls told me, you gotta speak up a little, dude. And these guys, you know, they're gonna kill you. And I bought this pizza. I cannot tell you if it was like hamburger or meatball or whatever it was. I know it was ground beef. I can tell you that much. It was like ground beef. But it was just an amazing slice of pizza. I wish I took footage of me eating it, but I left my phone back to charge, and I didn't get any footage. But thankfully, I ate that delicious pizza. So Fives and I got a whole box. But before we got our box, I bought a slice of pizza with pineapple for a homeless man, and this poor homeless man was just sort of opening the door for people, cleaning the tables, even though it was raining. Just, you know, trying to get some cash so he can afford pizza. So I just bought it for him. But even after he ate the pizza I bought him, he was still begging people for more. You know, nothing against it. I felt bad for the guy, but everyone was just so mean to him. Like the guys working there were mean to him. Like the customers, they were like, just, everyone was just so angry. And I was just standing there awkwardly when he walked up to us asking for cash. He was smoking a cigarette, and all that smoke from the cigarette went straight to Five Skulls' face. Once we were done with it, we were just giggling like little girls after that. Yeah, that was my first taste of New York life. Just eating a pizza around New Yorkers. But even though I made fun of the view because it was dirty from the streets, but the side view wasn't too bad. There was we could see some buildings they were, you know, constructing, but you could see the sky. It was nice, but you just really had to look, you know, otherwise you just get hit by a wall. So finally, it's the day of the con. We're excited. We've really been looking forward to this, and we go on our way and we stop by a cafe. And once again, I'm hit by the New York life of, like, you know, everyone just sort of being pushy, you know, a little aggressive. That's that northern aggression I've been hearing about. I'm not used to it. Fives gets his iced coffee. I get myself a hot chocolate, which was a pretty good hot chocolate. I don't drink coffee, so this is my source of caffeine. And I also bought myself a corn muffin. I've had corn muffins many times before. I love corn muffins. But this muffin in particular tasted kind of funky. Like they put cheese or something in it. And it wasn't that great, honestly, unfortunately. And I ate the most I could. I ate about half of it. But I wasn't a fan of it. But that was also my breakfast, so I had to, you know, eat as much as I could. Because it was going to be a long day. And long day it was. Because wow. There's Five Skulls, by the way, eating his blueberry pastry. So finally we make it to the con. It's very, very, very exciting. Like, it's packed, which, you know, I expected from a con. The line was long, which once again I expected from a con. It wrapped around almost like half of the building, and then it looped back. And people were lining up behind the building as well. So the line ended up being, you know, two separate lines in one. But man, it was cold. I won't lie to you. It was a little cold. It was about 50 degrees. And that's starting to get to the area of colder than California nights, okay? Right now, as I'm recording this in November, late November no less, it is currently 70 degrees. Actually, I was wrong. It wasn't 50 degrees. It was actually colder. It was about 42 degrees. So it was really, really cold that morning. So Five Skulls and I were freezing a little bit. And we finally made it in, and what do we do once we're finally in there? Because there was actually nothing to do for like the first 2 hours. And the reason that was because of the fact that they had the exhibition hall, the artist alley, and the game center all completely closed because they were all in the same room. Just to let you guys know, that is going to be a reoccurring problem here. I'll get more into detail later on, but that was a huge issue I had with the convention, having everything, you know, stuffed in one room. So Five Skulls actually wanted to get his merch that he pre-ordered, and so he waited, and I told him, okay, we'll get some Starbucks, and I'll meet you back here. But the thing is, I walked around looking for the Starbucks that I couldn't find it. I actually ended up going upstairs to the area where the exhibition hall and the artist alley were. But the thing is that it was all closed, and I couldn't really get much of a view of anything. It was a little packed, but you know, we made a best of the situation. So finally I make it to Starbucks, and the line is huge yet again. Try to get my hot chocolate again. Their water-based hot chocolate, which is really mediocre. So drinking that compared to the other hot chocolate, not great. I also bought myself a cake pop, which was very, very good. So finally, they open up the exhibition hall, the artist alley, the game center. Everything's all open, ready, and set to go. And we go meet up with Pyro and Cola, who are in their table. Unfortunately, I did not get any footage of us meeting them, or almost basically any footage from the artist alley. I know a lot of artists do not like their merchandise or art being taken pictures of or recorded because of the fact that could be shared online and made fun of. So I respected their wishes, and I didn't take any footage of any of the artists. Only took a couple pictures of, I did take one picture with Pyro. No pictures of Cola because, Cola doesn't like her identity being revealed online. And a picture of one artist cosplaying as Hana from Fire Emblem. I gave them cookies, we bought merch, it was really exciting meeting them. And as we were going around, I just started getting like this sick feeling in my stomach, and I had to run to the restroom, so I did. Unfortunately, I got hit with a pretty bad stomach virus that first day. But once I felt better, things thankfully turned around a bit. One of the main things I was really excited about was going to the game center. And I went to the game center. Very excited to play with people. I play all sorts of different fighting games. I'm very, very ecstatic to just, I'm just overjoyed to, finally play fighting games with people in person, because I haven't played fighting games with people in person in so long. I make my way over to this group of guys that are playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I was like, okay, I want to play. Here, let me play. So I hook up my fight stick and nothing. And I'm like, okay, let me try hooking up another controller to it, and nothing. And then we reset the controllers and still nothing. And unfortunately, that was an issue I had that I could not fix. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. I tried playing on an Xbox. That also didn't work. I didn't end up playing any fighting games with people in the game center, which was a shame. I didn't spend much on that last day, but I did find a lot of interesting games like Hotel Transylvania on the Switch, Hulk, all sorts of unique, exciting, fun games that critics talk about all the time. They got raving reviews. The overall first day was admittedly a little disappointing, and the main huge reason that was as not fun as I thought it'd be was because I couldn't get my fight stick working. I was also fairly jet lagged, which is never fun. I wasn't jet lagged when I arrived, but when the next day it hit me really, really, really hard. So we just went back to our place and rested up. Fives went to Broadway. He went to go see his favorite musical. I stayed back at the hotel and just sort of relax a little bit, I guess. I was very tired, but I will admit we ended the day a little bit on a sour note, but I wasn't too pessimistic about it because I knew that the second day was going to be very exciting, and the huge reason as to why that was because I had a video planned out. Unfortunately, real life intervened with that, and that video ended up getting scrapped. We did get a lot of footage of the video. Unfortunately, we just couldn't really make it work. What I had as an idea was just sort of run around the convention as Diddy Kong. I give out bananas to people, and the reactions were organic. The way I would give them the bananas were organic. They would either giggle, look at me really confused, or just it was really funny. But unfortunately, a lot of people didn't want to accept the banana, or they just didn't want to be part of the video. And as time went on, the bananas ended up getting bruised, which is unfortunate because we walked to about 3 different groceries to look for bananas, and when we finally found it, I bought the entire stack. 2 dozen bananas, that was, by the way. I bought 2 dozen bananas, and we only gave away about 1 dozen. It was very, very unfortunate. But at least we do have all this footage of me buying the bananas and just holding up the line, and it was really fun. I won't lie. Just looking back at this footage, it was really, really funny. It was really fun, just seeing all these people struggle. Me carrying all these bananas. People saying, "Oh, you're so dedicated to this." I had a lot of fun making it. And unfortunately, it was really disappointing that I didn't get to finish it. Get enough footage to justify making it into a full video, but I do have some clips again that you could look at. What you could basically get an idea as to what it would have been, and unfortunately, you gotta make the best of what you got. There's that saying again. The actual convention day itself, this time they decided to host the line in the underground area. But what that ended up doing was just making that a hazard. They separated us into different lines, and those lines would go all one at a time. And once again, what that ended up doing was just making everything take even longer. We took about 40 minutes into that line, and despite the fact that we were there before other people, people that got there way after us were making it inside, which was a little frustrating. It made me feel like, what's the point of going early? We're just not even gonna make it inside in time, but whatever. And unfortunately that day wasn't very exciting because again, we spent the whole day making the video and we couldn't get people to participate in it. I mean, I tried, but sometimes things just don't go your way, and I was once again in a downer mood. I was really bummed out. One thing I left out actually is that I brought my laptop this time around so I can play Guilty Gear accent core with people. The only place I could really sit down in, it was the corners, and people wouldn't see me play, see what I'm playing. I mean, there were people that would walk up to me, look at what I'm playing, and then walk away. Sometimes they talk to me like, "Oh, you playing Guilty Gear?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I am. Do you like Guilty Gear?" He's like, yeah. Oh, I like Accent Core. I'm playing a lot of Strive though recently." And then they walk away like, I just want to play with you, man. Come on. I saw a bunch of Garogura cosplayers walk by, but one of those in particular, I saw this one Garogura just sort of walk up behind me and just stare at me playing it. And like the only thing I caught from the glimpse, from the corner of my eye, was like this like black strap on this person's leg, and like my first thought was like, I think that's some pepper spray. I think that's a mace. Pyro, when you watch this video, this is why I thought you had your mace with you at the time, was because I saw like a black strap around your leg, and I turn around and it's actually Pyro just staring at me trying to learn King of Fighters, and I was like, oh my god, like I was a little scared, like, because I was just thinking to myself, like, what does this girl want? Like, do you want to play? But yeah, I thought that was a funny story to share. So finally I went home early yet again, a little disappointed at the day being wasted. And I see Fives there back at the place, and he looked really down as well. We had a talk, and then we were like, okay, we had 2 mediocre days in a row. This third day won't be mediocre. We're gonna make the best of it, and then we're gonna have a good time the third day, because we weren't gonna worry about anything. We didn't have to worry about a video. We didn't have to worry about lines anymore. We were gonna go out there and we're gonna go have fun. So finally the third day begins, and I'm making my way over to the convention. Unfortunately, Fives was very tired and he wanted to sleep in, so I let him sleep in and I went on my own. I told him, "Oh, I'll just meet you over there," and I went on my own. Thankfully I didn't have to wait in line that long this time. I waited only about 20 minutes, and this time I was like, okay, yo, I'm gonna have fun this time. And I did, which is why I actually didn't have much footage of this day in particular, because I went out there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do con stuff, I'm gonna go buy stuff, I'm gonna go talk to artists, I'm gonna go have a lot of fun. And I did. You know what I did? There was this one artist that I ran into that had Street Fighter keychains, and I was like, yo, I've been looking for Street Fighter charms. And I was like, oh my god. And so I started looking. I was like, do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? And yeah, she did. She had an Ibuki charm. I bought that charm. I'm an Ibuki player, by the way. I bought that charm. We had a talk, and we were both making fun of Luke from Street Fighter 5 and 6. And it was awesome. Love that artist. I wish I got your artist card. I really wish I did. You were awesome. If you ever find this video, I'm the guy that you were talking about Ibuki with. I'm just gonna point out right now, I got banned from the game center. So I was like, okay, I want to play Guilty Gear with people. I want people to see what I'm playing. I want them to, play with me. And so I go to the corner of the game center where they have these Xboxes that nobody uses because they only have single player games. They had an empty port, so I hooked up my laptop there. I was all set, ready to go, and I started playing Guilty Gear. And I was like, okay, let's see if someone runs into me. As I'm playing there, just waiting for someone to come by and see what I'm playing so we could play. These two men, part of staff, one of them comes up to me. He's like, hey, you can't be there. You can't be there. And so I was like, oh, yo, okay, I'm sorry. Like, we have this all set up. You're disrupting the display. Like, get off. You gotta get off now. He was very pushy about it, very, rude. But once again, I think that's just how New Yorkers are. And so I was like, okay, man, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go now, okay, I'm gonna go. And so once again, me being this shy kid from California, I was sort of like taken aback. And then he tells me that I'm wasting the electricity they're paying for, and that's when I lost my cool. I'm like, okay, I can understand you saying that I'm disrupting the display, but that's telling me that I'm wasting your electricity that you're paying for. That's when I was not cool with that. I got genuinely heated up about that until I told him, okay, who's paying the electricity here, you or pants? And I was pointing at the guy that wasn't even speaking. He was just sort of following this other staff member along, and it wasn't the brightest idea to talk back to that, because he just looked at me like, is this kid for real? This kid really gonna talk back to me? And so he's like, okay, you're done. You're not gonna be here anymore. And he just kicked me out of the game center and didn't let me come back in there. And so I was angry. I was sort of just walking away from it. I was like, but like these guys, I paid for my ticket. I paid for your electricity. I helped pay for it. If you want me to pay for my 0.001% of your electricity, I will gladly do so. I'll pay my 32 cents. But do not tell me I am wasting your electricity. That got me genuinely heated. I go to this one corner to rest up because my back at this point, after 3 days of a con, is killing me. This guy sees me playing Guilty Gear. He's like, oh, I've only played Strive. Do you mind if I play? And I was like, yeah, sure. We will play. And we played a lot of Guilty Gear together. And it was, you know what? It was genuinely awesome playing with this dude. He was adapting really quickly. And I had a lot of fun playing against him. We had a bunch of good games. I genuinely love playing with that dude. And that was all by luck. I got the one thing I was asking for from this con, and that's to play a fighting game with someone. And it was probably one of the highlights of the convention itself. And I just look back at that very, very, very fondly. So Fives and I meet up again. We roam around, and at this point the convention is winding down a bit. We buy a bunch of stuff. One point we bought a giant Sonic plushie for Cola.
No.
It was pretty big, and there was also all sorts of celebrities. Like we had the voice actors there, like Ripture Epgar, and then we had Brock Hampton over there. But we had a lot of fun that last day. We were trying to make the best of it, but we did have to leave early that day because we wanted to go to Times Square and visit Nintendo World. So after resting up a bit, we went shopping around a little bit longer. I was looking for all the prints I needed, everything I wanted, and so we told our goodbyes to Power and Cola. Love those two, by the way. Their Twitters are in my description if you guys want to follow them. They make fantastic art, both of them. And so finally, we make our way out. Very bittersweet, saying goodbye to the con. As is life, we gotta keep moving forward. And I was dying, I tell you, dying to try the New York dog. I was so stoked to try New York dog, and so I ordered an Italian sausage hot dog, but the man misunderstood me and thought I ordered a regular hot dog and an Italian sausage hot dog. So I ended up having to pay for both of them. But that's not an issue because my God, were they both really good dogs. The first dog was the hot dog, and Past Jerry, what did you have to say about that dog?
Wow. Really flat of meat.
Wow, I totally agree. And finally, it was time to try the Italian sausage hot dog, and I was struggling to, eat the dog because it was just so big. But once I finally bit into it, I just, the sweet onion, the hot dog, the Italian sausage hot dog, the bread. It was just a wonderful combination. It was probably top 3 hot dogs I've ever had. Not the best one, but up there for sure.
It was a very good dog.
So finally, we rested up a little bit. We recharged our batteries. Finally, it was time to go to Times Square. They had all sorts of unique and different restaurants that I'd never seen before. Like they had Wendy's, Arby's, Chase, you know, stuff exclusive to New York that I've never seen before. But I can tell you right now, those restaurants are probably really, really tasty. We make our long walk over to Nintendo World, and well, it certainly was a long walk. We sort of had to travel into all sorts of different areas, see all sorts of different sites until we finally made it to Nintendo World. And there was a bit of a queue, which I was kind of concerned about, but the queue ended up actually going by really, really quickly with no issue. And finally we made it in, and it was admittedly a little disappointing. Wasn't a big fan of the merch they had there, besides some of the exclusive plushies, which were nice, I guess, like the Christmas plushies they have for the Pokemon. All the Yoshis are really funny. I like the decorations they had around, but for the most part it was just kind of nothing. The Fire Emblem plushies were nice, but I already bought my Fire Emblem Mike plushie at the convention. They just had a bunch of cool merch, but let's be honest here, you could buy most of that merch at different stores in your hometown without any issues. So I was a little let down. I was also told that they didn't have any amiibos available at the time, which, I mean, I don't blame them for that. They sell out fairly quickly, but you know, it was just a little underwhelming.
Combo!
But it wasn't until I was leaving that something caught my eye. I found a Dr. Mario plushie. And the thing about this Dr. Mario plushie is that I just think it's so funny looking. You know, I got it right here. It's just so funny looking. It's just the way it's holding onto its pill and the way it stares at you with its dead eyes. I love this thing, man. It's so awesome. And finally, it's time to go over to Times Square, and yeah, it's Times Square. Very surreal experience seeing Times Square in person. Just sort of looking at all the advertisements they had there, that's basically all Times Square is, an advertisement. King Kong was there too. We're buddies now. I have his phone number. I'll call him up later. I'm sorry to skim over Times Square, but we were only there for about 5 minutes, and then we're like, okay, let's head back and get something to eat. And unfortunately, we didn't get anything to eat on the way back. We did stop by Carlo's Bakery in New York City, but the thing is about Carlo's Bakery in New York City is that I didn't know what to expect from it. So I went in there hoping to finally try some of Mr. Buddy Velastro's delicious pastries, because I watched this show as a kid.
Danny, what did you do?
And now he's giving out these pastries in New York City. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna buy something. And I bought the pumpkin pie they had there. And Fives, he bought some cannolis. And I also bought a box of cookies for my sisters back at home. After we bought our stuff, we made it back to her place. Fives was buying pizza. I was, you know, very, very excited. We were setting up for a stream. It's time to try Carlo's amazing pastries. And the pumpkin pie was a little disappointing, I won't lie to you. It was a fine pumpkin pie, but far from the best one I've had. In fact, I would actually much rather buy a cheaper store-bought one than the one I had at his bakery. And then I tried one of Five's cannolis, and those were admittedly good. They were crispy, they were creamy, but unfortunately they had another big issue that the pumpkin pie also had. It was very, very, very rich, and I had to go over to 7-Eleven and buy some milk because they were just that rich. And it wasn't great, let's just put it that way. It wasn't great having to be disappointed by Mr. Buddy himself. I feel like he failed me, and he should apologize to me.
I can't believe you put this in the refrigerator. Why? It's all melted. I told nobody to touch it. That's why I left it in the bag.
But I wasn't here, so I put the worst then I put it in the refrigerator. What do you want me to do?
But Danny, it's sugar and milk.
I didn't know what was it.
It ain't funny, Frankie.
The box of cookies I tried when I made it home, and they were also not good, actually. They were, in my opinion, worse than a box of Chips Ahoy. You will get a better quality cookie from a box of Chips Ahoy than those cookies, which is a shame. Once again, disappointed. If I ever go to Hoboken, I will actually try his bakery, the legit Carlo's Bakery from there, to see if it's any better. But if it's not, then that's just how the pastries are, and I'm inclined to say that Carlos Bakery is a tourist trap. Then I remember I told Fives, yo, let's pull an all-nighter. This is gonna be great. It's just gonna be us. We're gonna be having so much fun. It's gonna be awesome. And 1 hour after I said that, I'm already falling asleep in the bed, and I'm just dying here. And I only slept for about 3 hours for that time. Maybe 2.5 hours at the very least, but 3 hours at most. It wasn't a long time. I had to get up, get ready for the airport, and then sadly, in the most anticlimactic way, I had to say goodbye to Fives. I was just patting him on the back as he was trying to sleep, like, hey man, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. This is how we have to say goodbye, but that's just the way it is. Fives was awesome. He also streams once in a while. His Twitch channel will also be in my description. So it's finally time to head back to the airport. And it was very bittersweet. You know, I was finally starting to get used to life here. One issue I had was that I needed to take this ginormous Solier poster, and it didn't fit in my suitcase, and I didn't want to bend it over in my backpack, so I had to carry it by hand. And unfortunately, I ran into some issues with it. But before I can even get to that, I went to the wrong airport. So I took a lift from that airport to the actual airport I had to go. But my Lyft driver was actually awesome, and thankfully on the way to the airport, no issues whatsoever. Nothing wrong. The drive was smooth. No one was trying to kill us. It was nice and easy, simple, relaxing, and it was awesome. So besides going to the wrong airport, the next issue I ran into was that print, carrying it by hand. And I asked the lady that was checking in my bags, checking to make sure I didn't have, you know, like a bomb or something. I asked her, can I give it to the security guard and have him hold it for me while they're scanning me? And she goes, no. She yanks it from me and stuffs it inside a crate and gets it all bent around the edges because it was even too big for the crate. It felt like, well, all my efforts of trying to keep it safe was for nothing, but you know, that's New York for you, baby. Thankfully, the lady that was helping me pack was very, very sweet. She was very kind. So shout out to her at the JFK airport, the lady that's job is to help people pack things. You're awesome. You were one of the nicest New Yorkers I met during my trip there. Thankfully, my ride from New York to San Francisco went very smoothly. When I got to the airport, I sat next to someone who was actually in the convention himself, and we chatted about all sorts of things for about an hour, and then I clocked out. I fell asleep for 3 hours. So that's literally 4 hours of the trip that went by like nothing. And then that last hour, I woke up. I was still kind of like, you know, still trying to wake up a little bit. And so I put Toy Story in the monitor, and you know what? The whole trip itself was pretty cool. It was awesome. I got to see the stuff I wanted to see, and the landing was really, really smooth. No issues with it. It went by so quickly for 4.5 hours. We got there way ahead of schedule as well. It was great. I had a great time. So finally I arrived to San Francisco. I have not had any breakfast. I'm starving. I want some food. But McDonald's already took out the breakfast menu, and that's what I was craving. So it's like, okay, we got all sorts of different food here. And what I ended up getting were some Vietnamese sandwiches. I had Vietnamese sandwiches. They're awesome. They're great. And I bought this one called the Juicy Steak. And when I bit into it, I was very disappointed. It had the juicy steak. I say that with quotation marks. Daikon radish, jalapenos, cucumbers, and I think I also had onions in it, but I didn't taste any onions, and pickled carrots. And unfortunately, two things about this sandwich. The juicy steak was so unbelievably dry. It was very, very chewy. I was struggling to swallow it. And the second issue was those carrots that just completely overpowered everything. You could barely taste anything but those carrots. And overall, it was very disappointing. I ate the whole thing. I was hungry. I was like, okay, that was a little disappointing. I want some more food. And so I was like, I want some fried chicken. But I couldn't find any fried chicken, which is unfortunate because the restaurant I bought food from had fried chicken next to them. But the restaurant next to them had fried chicken. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get my fried chicken. But I ordered a chicken burger, a fried chicken burger. It was a bacon chicken burger with Parmesan fries from Bacon Bacon at the San Francisco airport. The presentation for it was very lovely. They looked tasty. They looked very, very tasty. The fries were fantastic. The fries were amazing. Like, I had no complaints with the fries, like, at all. The fries were delicious. I ate those entire things. But that chicken burger, as beautiful as it looked, was really disappointing, actually. It was really bland, had very little actual flavor. The bacon in it was just little bits of bacon, and it just didn't taste very good. At least the chicken was crispy and juicy, I'll give it that, but it just didn't have any flavor, and when you don't have flavor, what's the point? So now here was probably the worst bit of the entire trip. I got stuck in San Francisco for 4 hours. I had to wait there for a long time and a bunch of nothingness. I was very tired, so I fell asleep, but I also was waking up constantly because, like, what time is it? Oh, it's barely 1. Okay. The reason I was stuck there for so long was because there was a delay, and then there was another delay, and then there was another delay. It ended up being 3 delays overall. Everyone was getting impatient. I was tired. I just wanted to get home. And before we even entered the plane, they were asking people to be volunteers for luggage check-in, but no one was checking in their luggage. I didn't want to check in my luggage. I wanted to carry my luggage around because I didn't trust luggage pickup anymore. I hated baggage claim. It took way too long, and it was a miserable experience when I was trying to just wait there for an hour to get my baggage. And finally, it was time to board the plane, and they take my luggage, and they say, okay, we're gonna take this for luggage claim. We're gonna check it in. You'll just pick it up at the airport. And I was just, why? I wasn't given a choice. They just took it from me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to wait even longer to get home. And get in my plane. The ride went by very quickly. I fell asleep throughout the entire thing, and it was great. No, it was very, very great to just fly by through 2 plane rides, but like that overall experience of being stuck in San Francisco wasn't very fun. So finally, I make it to Santa Ana. I go to baggage claim, and my baggage takes over an hour to get there. And I was just fuming. I just wanted to get out of there. And I finally got my luggage. I left, and I made it back home, thankfully. And that was the entire trip. There was a lot that just, I wasn't too pleased about, but I tried to make the most of it. Try to make this a fun experience. I try to make it as memorable as possible. And you know what? It was memorable. Here I am looking back at it, talking about it like, very positively. Despite all those inconveniences, despite things going wrong, despite getting a stomach virus on the first day, it was really fun. I had fun. I made a really good friend out of it. Fives and I are really tight now because of it. And I just overall had a really good time. So overall, New York, you were okay. Would I like to live there? No, not at all. Not one bit. No, I would get killed there. I would get eaten alive. Definitely gonna revisit New York eventually. I had fun. That's all I can say. I had fun. Thank you all for watching this video and sitting all the way till the end. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope you considered subscribing, because I am going to start making a lot more content a lot more frequently. I do have another video planned after this one, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you stick around to watch more. I stream on Twitch. My Twitch channel is in the description as well. Make sure you also check out Pyro on Twitter, who makes art, and she also streams. That would also be in the description. Make sure you check out Cola's art. She makes fantastic art. Also in the description. And Five Skulls, who also streams. Also in the description. And you know what? If there's one thing I learned about this whole trip, is that I know how to drive.